Now we know how to import a file into Premiere or files into Premiere. Let's bring in, by the way, if you right click on a folder and import, then it will come into this folder. I'm going to share all these videos for you, and let's cut together a 10-second edit. So if you just say import folder, the whole folder will come in. So now we have imported our folder B-roll into the bin. Now let's take a look how timeline works. So when you open Premiere, the timeline is here, and timeline is a place where you will bring all the shots and you will make an edit. So there are a few ways you can create a timeline. The first way, if you want to drag and drop. Now, one more thing I wanted to show you, and remember, if I press the tilt button, which is left to 1, this will, wherever my mouse is, it will maximize. So I'm here and I press the tilt button. You can see that all your footage is 23.976 and 1920 by 1080. It means 1920 by 1080 is a full HD high definition resolution, and 23.976 is the film rate used in extensively in films. So it's very important that all your clips when you film are on the same frame rates and same dimensions. If they are not, then there are other ways to process the edit. But make sure when you start working with your footage, the frame rates and the dimensions are exactly the same. So the first way to create a timeline, if you just drag one of this clip and drop it, and you can see the timeline is created. And if you click on sequence settings, and you can see the time base is 23.796, frame size is 1920 by 1080. So now this was the first way you can create your edit. Now the editing mode, it shows a ARRI Cinema. That's basically the codec of the file. Now when you will start filming your shots from school cameras or your cameras, chances are you will be getting H.264 codec. Codecs are very important. We will talk about it in further classes, why they are important and what are they used for. Codec in general is just a file format within your QuickTime to convert a file for more universal use. For example, if you shoot from Canon RAW cameras, so Canon records in XF, MPEG-2 or 720p. Now if you work with this format or this codec on your timeline and you export the file for other people, they might not be able to see, they might not be able to play it back properly if they don't have this codec. That's why we generally work with a common file formats like H.264, MP4, or MOV, just because when we give those files to some other people or to employers or to upload it on YouTube or Vimeo, they work really well. So for today, I'm just going to leave it at ARRI Cinema and just press OK. So that was the first way you could create a timeline. Second way you can create timeline is just by pressing Control N. And when you press Control N, it will open up. And now if you do it this way, you just have to make sure that your clip settings matches the settings here. So you'll have to go manually into ARRI, 1080p, 1080p 23.9.6, and then you create, and then you have a timeline. So this is another way of opening a timeline, making a timeline. But I think the best way I find to make a timeline is by dragging and dropping, just because When you do that, the timeline takes the setting of your clip, which for me works very well because I'm pretty sure then the settings are going to match. So when you make a timeline, this kind of icon shows up. And because I dragged and dropped from the clip to the timeline, that's why the timeline is in the folder. It's in this bin. So what I like to do, I like to keep my timeline separate. So I am gonna drag. So I'm gonna drag and drop outside that folder, and I'm gonna close this folder right here. So this is the sign of a timeline. If you see this, I'm gonna make another bin, and we'll say timelines, and I'm gonna drag and drop my timeline into my timeline. I like to keep things very organized, and you should too, because when you start working with a lot of files and a lot of timelines, things can get very messy. And now so we just learned how to make bins, how to import media, and how to create a timeline. Now there's a tool section right here, which is the most important part of Premiere when you start editing. I'm gonna go over few today, and we'll try to make a cut. So first of all, we're gonna make a 10-second edit on any music. So I'm gonna import some kind of music from my music files. And I'm gonna share all these files with you so you can have it and then you can create exactly same edit as me to practice.